Hey everyone, this is Lisa from TRW, and we are going to do a project that gets us ready for summer. So I am going to show you how to press names onto these cute little mermaid tail popsicle holders, and we are going to be using the offset feature in Silhouette Studio. Now we're going to see why it's important to do a little border around a name when you're pressing onto a busy background like this. So if you're ready to go, let's get started. So I have my names typed in Silhouette Studio. Right now, these are still considered text objects. One way you can tell is I have these overlapping lines with my letters. So I'm going to quickly select my text, weld it, and now all the overlapping lines are gone. One thing to keep in mind when you are using script fonts in Silhouette Studio and you are welding is that it doesn't automatically join lines that are not touching. And so if you look, the dot on the I is separate. So what I'm going to tell Silhouette Studio to do is to treat all of this together as one big object. So I'm going to make that a compound path. Let's right click, make compound path, and now you can see it's one box around the whole thing. That means it's one object. And now let's do the same thing down here. Now you can see these were not touching, so they're separate. Let's right click, make compound path, and now both of these are one object apiece. So next thing I want to do is I want to make the outline around my word. Now the problem with pressing onto something like this, so here's my little mermaid popsicle stick holder, popsicle holder. They're really fun, but the pattern can make it hard to read whatever you're putting on there. And a lot of times, especially with glitter vinyl, it becomes even more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're creating an offset or basically a border to make the colors stand out but also make your text legible. So let's select both of these. I'm going to do the offset for both of them at the same time. And we'll go over to our offset panel. It's about halfway down the right side. Let's do offset, and then I'm going to put in a smaller distance. I'm going to put a distance of 0.04. I'm going to hit enter to preview. So it's a nice little outline, nothing too drastic, and then hit apply. So now these parts are separate. So I'm going to move this out of the way, select this right here, make that a compound path, move this out of the way, select this here, make this a compound path. And now one thing to note is this offset was made directly off of my word. So I can grab both of these, click this center line button at the top of the quick access toolbar, center it, and now I'm all set with that. Let's move that over, and now let's do both of this, and again we have that moved over. So now our names are set up with our offset. Now we just need to resize them. These little holders are almost 6 inches long, so I'm going to make my design around 4.5 inches wide. So let's go ahead, I'm just going to bring that down. Let's grab this one, and then let's shrink this down to 4.5. So I'm not doing it perfect, but we have it set up that way. So now all I need to do is, since I'm cutting this in HTV, I just need to flip my design horizontally, and now I'm going to move my text out of the way. I'm going to cut this in white easy weed first, and then after I'm done with that, I will cut this in mermaid blue glitter vinyl. So I have my little mermaid tails here. So you can see the pattern is really busy. Now that's not exactly bad, but when you put down a name, it gets a little hard to read. You know, you can't even tell. And a lot of times when you have glitter, the problem is made worse because it reflects so much light. It's almost like it won't catch the edges. You need something to define it. So what I'm going to do is I made my offsets in white easy weed. So for something like this, I just use basic white easy weed. Now you can layer right on top of white easy weed. You don't want to layer right on top of glitter, so that's one thing to keep in mind. And for something like this that, you know, we're not going to wash it too much, it's okay if it has something layered on top. And so what we're going to do real quick is we want to go ahead and do a quick press of our first color. We're just going to tack it down. The Caesar line can activate after a couple seconds. It doesn't mean it's fully pressed, it just means it came off the carrier. So I have my heat press set at 310 degrees. I'm going to increase my pressure to make sure I get good pressure on that vinyl. So basically what that means is I want my press to fight me as I go to close it. So right now I can't really close it, so my pressure is a little bit too high. So that's good. Nice little struggle going on. Now I'll lift it up, I'll remove my protective cover sheet, and now we have our vinyl coming up. Now one thing to keep in mind too is you'll notice that the color went through on this. So this is, and I thought this might happen, this is a sublimated blank, which means the color is printed right on here. Well, it's printed on a sheet and then put right on here. So for something like this, an Easy Weed, it can migrate onto the color. So because we're doing an offset and putting glitter on top, that's not an issue. If you want to put Easy Weed straight down and have that be the color on a sublimated item like this, then you would want to use the Caesar sub block, which will block that dye migration that goes on. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and press this, but I'm just going to do a couple seconds because I want to take off the carrier. I'm going to take off the carrier because I don't want it to leave little marks in the Easy Weed, but I also don't want it to kind of like, I don't know, indent glitter into my Easy Weed as well. So now we have that all set. I'm going to go ahead and press this for about 8 more seconds. All right, so we have our presses done. Now you can see we have our glittery popsicle holders. Now these are both done in white Easy Weed and Mermaid blue. You will see with this one in particular, you can see the dye has gone through. Good thing is that you can still have that definition. I don't think it looks too bad, but that is one thing to look out for when you do something like this. And both these popsicle holders are from Craft Chameleon. I really love the items that they have there. So if you have any questions, you can comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.